Well, Congress has been passing energy bills since the 1970s, but despite the billions being spent to encourage domestic oil production, our oil imports have only grown. Our executive editor, Margaret Ryan, takes a look at America's oil addiction and why it's a habit that's so hard to break.
We will break the back of the energy crisis. We will lay the foundation for our future capacity to meet America's energy needs from America's own resources.
For decades, we've talked and talked about the need to end America's century-long addiction to fossil fuels. And for decades, we have failed to act with the sense of urgency that this challenge requires.
For 36 years, presidents have made energy independence a goal. Why have we failed to achieve that goal? Why are we still importing all that oil? And what can we do to stop? Back in 1973, when OPEC's first oil embargo mangled the U.S. economy, we imported about half of our daily oil needs, and we used only 12 million barrels a day. Today, we use more than 19 million barrels, and we import nearly two-thirds of it. We're now importing as much oil as we used in the 70s. It turns out, in 1970, U.S. oil production peaked. All the consumption added since has added to imports.
Opening up more land to drilling or allowing more drilling will mitigate the fall off in U.S. oil production, but I don't see a situation where we're going to see a major increase in U.S. oil production.
That leaves us sending billions abroad for oil. T. Boone Pickens says we're sending more than $600,000 a minute overseas. We've had chances to use less. We've cut our oil for electricity generation down from 17 to less than 2% of our power. Phil Sharp, head of a bipartisan think tank, says we're using all our oil more efficiently.
We probably ought to celebrate that, although about half of that is the result of improved efficiency in vehicles, and about half of it is the result of actually losing industry that was big consumers of oil.
70% of our oil is used in transportation. Two-thirds as gasoline and the rest as diesel or fuel for airplanes and railroads. The other 30% goes for things as diverse as home heating oil, fertilizers, plastics, asphalt, and lubricating oils. There are substitutes for some uses, but even if we got rid of all that, we'd still be importing half the oil we used, just as in 1973. The biggest place to look is right here, right in our driveways. Our car engines have gotten much more efficient since 1987, but our average mileage has been stuck around 21 miles per gallon because we started buying larger and heavier vehicles.
We needed a larger car because we travel home to New Jersey a lot to fit all of our 4 children, sometimes a dog or 2. And the reason I chose the Dodge Grand Caravan is because it had more storage space in the back than the Honda Odyssey. And that's really what sold me, was a 1.5 foot more storage space.
And until 2008, low gas prices made larger cars a reasonable choice.
Basically, we've been unwilling to say we would price ourselves at a much higher rate to force ourselves in industry and as individuals to use less.
Mario Eberle sells Fords in Northern Virginia. He says customers want economy and they want to be green.
So I think that's the biggest change that I've seen, that people are actually aware and they're making a conscious effort to be green and to help less of a carbon footprint.
Eileen Citron agrees.
I really want a hybrid car. I really want something that's better for the environment, that I'd be proud to drive and my children wouldn't be embarrassed to be in.
What keeps consumers buying less efficient vehicles?
It's just a matter of, can I fit my family in that vehicle? And that's really and I've heard it 1,000 times. Well, why can't we do something? Why isn't there a vehicle with a gas efficient engine? Well, if you're carrying 7 passengers and cargo, you need a bigger engine to move that vehicle.
Eberle sees a quick response from customers when gas prices rise.
As the gas prices go up, we're finding that customers are really asking for more of the hybrids and more of the fuel efficient models.
The number one driver of fuel efficiency is the price of oil. People generally, if you ask them, want more fuel efficient cars on the road. Maybe not their own car, but other people's cars. Yet, you want low energy prices, and those two goals are essentially impossible to have both at the same time.
Resources for the Future just tested out dozens of approaches to cutting oil use in a new study.
I hate to tell you what none of us want to hear, but the most effective thing to reduce oil is a good size oil tax. Now, you could rebate every dollar back to consumers, and they may or may not like that, and they could actually come out ahead. But politically, that seems to be a hard path to go.
How would consumers view that?
We would not be happy whatsoever. We think they should pass something to lower the gas taxes. They're ridiculous.
Even some environmentalists have conditions on supporting a gas price increase.
We would support an increase in the price of gasoline as long as it's not a regressive tax, as long as it's not hurting the people who can least afford it.
But Michael Brune insists making a big dent in our oil use is difficult but achievable.
What it would take is a rapid phase-in of first plug-in hybrid vehicles and then electric vehicles, and then we would want to have some cash for guzzlers program to take some of the most inefficient vehicles off the road.
Automakers have tried to sell alternative cars but couldn't make a profit. Cars with cutting-edge efficiency had high price tags, and with the coming electric plug-ins, that's not set to change. But Eberle says his customers embrace efficiency when the price is right, as he's seeing with a new model Fiesta, not yet in the showroom, priced from $13,000 to $17,000.
We've got the first 5 that are coming in already sold, and the main driving point behind the sales in that car is the fact that it's a regular gas engine. It's not as expensive as some hybrids are, and we can obtain 40 miles a gallon. It's the gas mileage, and obviously it's not a $30,000 car.
What is Citroën looking for in her next car?
Okay, it's going to be made in America by a company who did not take bailout money, that can fit our 4 children and luggage and still be a hybrid car where we would rarely have to use gas, if at all. I would love that.
International experts say U.S. gasoline usage is going to go down in the next few years just because of federal requirements for more efficient cars. But if more consumers make choices for hybrids and other highly efficient vehicles, that usage could go down even more. For Clean Skies News, I'm Margaret Ryan.